Sumeru is on the way, and it's coming soon. So I've compiled a list of things you can do to prepare for Sumeru. Disclaimer, you don't have to do all 27 things all at once. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend that, but hey, I'm not your mum. I'm not gonna tell you what you should and shouldn't do. You don't even have to prepare at all if you don't want to. But I've made a list anyway, if you want to make your life a little bit easier once we finally get to explore Sumeru. Plus, since we're getting a whole new element, some things on this list are directly related to that as well. So, let's get started. If you haven't completed your reputation quests for Mondstadt, Liyue and Inazuma, you might want to work on that. We're going to be getting a whole new region that will also have reputation quests to do, and if you leave them all, it might get overwhelming to deal with later on. However, I'm not saying max out all your reputations because that will leave you nothing to do in the future. So I'd say focus on trying to complete 1 or even 2 regions' reputation quests. That way you'll have Sumeru's reputations to do, as well as another region's lot down the line. What I mean by this is finish the character you're currently building right now and then save your resources for Sumeru. For example, I'm building up my brand new, shiny C1 Kazuha right now, and while I want to build up Heizo along with other characters, I probably can't do that right now because I want to save up enough resources to give me a head start for Sumeru. Things like books and Mora come to mind when I say resources. I will build Heizo and my other characters eventually, but this will probably be when the hype for Sumeru dies down once it's released, and once it's been here for a while. The Chasm is the newest place in Genshin, so if you want to farm anything from the overworld in preparation for Sumeru, the Chasm is going to be your home for the next few weeks. If you see a new enemy like Serpent Knights and floating fungi, fight them and collect drops. Maybe even collect Starstroms. I don't know if they're going to be any use, but the enemy drops most likely will be. When farming artifacts, it's tempting to put all your trash into the strongbox at the end of your play session, especially when you've gotten some cracked artifacts from there in the past. For the next few weeks, try to refrain from dumping your artifacts and save as many 5-star artifacts as possible. Try not to use the strongbox until Sumeru. It's always good to build a backlog of artifacts, especially if we're going to be getting new characters, and even more so if we're getting a new region. And elements. Use this time to cook lots of food. I always forget to cook food other than grinding out the battle pass once a week. But use this time to cook lots of food. We don't know how difficult the enemies in Sumeru are going to be, and considering how difficult the Inazuma enemies are in comparison to the Liyue and Mondstadt ones, it's best if we go into Sumeru somewhat prepared, in case we face a similar situation. A new region means new craftable weapons, and craftable weapons are nothing to scoff at. They're free, and they're decent options to have in your inventory. However, this means collecting lots of ores. Luckily, ores are everywhere in this game, there's no shortage of them. If you're running low on books, such as myself, Leylines could be a good use of your resin, especially if you're not building any characters at the moment. The amount of Mora you need in this game to build up characters is ridiculous. So farming for Mora is never a waste of time or resin. Again, this is especially the case if you're not building up anybody right now. This is a given, unless you're still trying to get Klee or Kazuha or you want Yoimiya, saving up your Primogems is essential. We're not only getting new characters and weapons, but we're getting a whole new element. If you want to prepare for Dendro, saving Primogems should be a huge priority right now. And if you need any help on how to save, there's no shortage of Primogem tip videos on my channel. I'm not saying to 100% your exploration everywhere. Again, you can do that if you want, but that's not what I would personally do, because I want to have things to do during quiet periods in this game. What I mean by explore more is if there's any part of the map that you have, let's say, below 50% exploration on, maybe try and explore that area a little more. This is to make sure that in the long run, your map doesn't become too overwhelming for you to deal with, because our map is going to increase drastically in size as Sumeru becomes more and more established over the coming patches. If you're not caught up on the main story yet, it's best for you to be up to date with that so that you can unlock Sumeru as soon as you can. With all the huge gaps between Archon Quests, sometimes you forget that this game has a main story. So if you're not already up to date with that, try and work on it. Again, I'm not saying clear out your quest list entirely, but at least clear out a good chunk of it, because with Sumeru coming out, we're not just going to have the Archon Quests. We're going to have a ton of side quests to do in this region. So it's a good idea to clear up your quest backlog a little bit now to make sure that you don't feel too overwhelmed later on. If you have nothing else to do with your resin, doing weekly bosses and trying to collect dream solvents from them is worth your time, especially with all the new characters we're going to be able to meet and potentially pull for. One of the most frustrating materials to farm for a character is the boss material that they need, so having some dream solvents prepared for them might make your life a bit easier. 99.99999% of the Genshin player base don't have the Traveler builds. However, this might change with the release of Dendro, because it might take us a while to build up a roster of Dendro characters. We know that Traveler is guaranteed to be a Dendro character that we can play around with pretty much straight away when Sumeru comes out. So perhaps it's worth preparing Traveler as a Dendro member of our team until other better characters come along. Again, I'm not saying max out your statues if you don't want to, but increasing the level or two of a statue won't hurt. We don't know how big Sumeru is going to be, but considering how many islands were added to Inazuma over the course of the past few months, I wouldn't be surprised if we get more locations in Sumeru over the coming months. So it's time to get fit and increase our stamina, I guess. This one is fairly easy to do. You could probably do it right now if you wanted to, but maybe have some condensed resin saved up in case we're able to access new domains when we get to Sumeru. This is just my prediction. It's based off of nothing but my own brain, but I'm sure we're going to get a Dendro domain fairly soon after we enter the region, and we all know how much of a pain it can be to farm decent artifacts. We might even get new talent material and weapon material domains too. So if we do get new Sumeru domains right off the bat, having some condensed resin will really help with farming. Everybody knows that the standard banner hasn't changed a whole lot since the beginning of the game. So with the last known elements finally coming to the game in 3.0, maybe they might make some changes to the standard banner? I don't know, this is just pure copium talking right now, but you never know. Genshin takes up a ridiculous amount of space, and Sumeru is probably going to add to that problem, unless Hoyoverse can fix this problem because it's actually so dumb. So try and prepare in advance rather than at the last minute. We spoke about Chasm overworld farming, but another thing that you could farm in any region are crystal cores, because they're nice to have a ton of. Plus, and this goes for pretty much anything in this game, if you don't hoard them when you don't need them, you won't have enough when you actually do need them. It's tempting to use new, fresh, fragile resin straight away when you get it, but again, if you're not building anybody right now, then I would suggest saving these for new Sumeru domains. If you're not caught up to speed on character story quests, this is a good chance for you to do so. Again, I'm not saying complete every single one if you don't want to do that, but doing character story quests will help you get conditioned to playing the game for lore rather than just for fighting and farming. Because I'm sure when we get to Sumeru, we're going to have a lot of lore heavy quests to do. If If you aren't already level 8 in the Teapot, this is a pretty good way to spend your time, because once you're at level 8, you can exchange realm currency for things like Mystic Enhancement ores, Mora, and even Resin. Adding to that, save up a lot of realm currency. Go to your Teapot every day and collect realm currency so you can redeem more from the shop. If you're like me, you probably have elemental ascension materials that you're not planning to use for a while. So when Sumeru comes out, you can use that dust to convert these into Dendro elemental ascension materials. However, the dust is only available in the Stardust shop, so keep that in mind. A new region means new weapons, and like I said about crystal cores, you'll never have enough of these when you actually start to need them, so save up as much as you can. If you haven't read the official Genshin Impact webtoon, this is a good chance to do so. Here we get to know more about the characters that we already know, as well as upcoming ones. So if you're looking for a way to get more familiar with certain characters, the webtoon is definitely worth checking out. And finally, take a break from the game and come back to Genshin fresh for Sumeru's release. There's nothing worse than a big update coming up for a game that you love and you not being excited for it because you're burned out. So if you want, take a break for the next few weeks and keep an eye on Genshin social medias so that you don't miss out on the Sumeru hype. And those are 27 of my tips to help you get prepared for Sumeru. Leave a comment down below on what you're doing to prepare, if anything at all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow my socials, and I will see you later.
Hey there. If you like Genshin Impact, Animal Crossing or games in general, join our chill Discord server. Thanks and have a nice day.